ما تفوت فرصة توسيع نطاق رسالتك باستخدام آي راديو. شارك أو أعلن معنا الليلة وخلي صوتك مسموع في جميع أنحاء جنوب السودان. Looking for the perfect radio partner? iRadio is your answer. Why choose iRadio?
Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, good morning. This is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. Vice President and chairpersons of the infrastructure cluster Taban Dengai has urged road constructors to remain patient as the government reviews claims of outstanding arrears said to amount to $700 million. The newly appointed Minister of Environment and Forestry, Mabior Gerang de Mabior, has pledged to develop a comprehensive master plan to tackle deforestation, environmental degradation and pollution in oil-producing areas as he officially assumes office. And South African women's rights groups are calling for nationwide protests to demand that gender-based violence be declared a national disaster in a country where attacks on women have become commonplace. This and many more all coming in this news bulletin with me, Darlington Moses. And now the news in detail. Vice President General Taban Dengai, the chairpersons of the infrastructure cluster, has urged road contractors to remain patient as the government reviews claims of outstanding arrears said to amount to $700 million. In a statement issued by Office of the Vice President, Dengai made the remarks during a meeting with representatives of the South Sudan Contractors Association yesterday. The contractors appealed to the Vice President for interventions, arguing that the claim arrears have severely disrupted road construction activities across the country. General Taban assured the contractors that his office will engage the relevant institutions, including the Ministry of Roads and Bridges, the Ministry of Finance, and ARC, the main contractor, to determine the way forward. The newly appointed Minister of Environment and Forestry has pledged to develop a comprehensive master plan to address deforestation, environmental degradation, and pollution in oil-producing regions as he officially assumed office. Mabior Gerang de Mabior was formally installed yesterday during a ceremony attended by senior government officials, diplomats, and members of the national legislature. In his remarks, the minister expressed deep gratitude to President Salva Kiir Mayardit for entrusting him with what he described as a critical assignment to confront pressing environmental challenges facing both the ministry and the nation. He outlined key concerns including widespread deforestation, land degradation, and the socio-economic pressures that compelled many citizens to depend on charcoal productions for survival. Mabior expressed his commitment to working closely with Ministry of the Environment staff to address these issues and ensure sustainable management of the country's natural resources for current and future generations. The Environment Minister also highlighted pollution in oil-producing areas as a major threat to communities, livestock, and the wider ecosystem. He stressed that environmental pollution is not only a domestic concern but a global challenge, adding that South Sudan should uphold international environmental standards. The minister announced plans to collaborate closely with the other secretaries for environment and forestry to develop a detailed ministerial master plan. The initiative, he said, will enable him to assess past achievements, identify gaps, and set clear priorities to strengthen the ministry's mandate. Mabior's installation ceremony was attended by government officials, diplomatic representatives, and members of the National Assembly. More than 40 Peace Committee members from Wau and Ju River counties are expected to take on stronger roles in a local conflict resolutions after completing a 5-day transformational leadership training organized by the United Nations Development Programme. The training held in Wau this week focused on building leadership skills, strengthening trust within peace structures, and improving participants' understanding of conflict early warning and response mechanisms. Facilitators also introduce gender-responsive leadership approaches, conflict management strategies, and practical tools for dialogue and reconciliation. Participants were guided through exercises on mapping local conflicts, engaging youth and women in peace initiatives, and strengthening information sharing networks across communities. Organizers says the goal is to equip local peace committees with the knowledge and confidence to mitigate disputes, including land conflicts, farmer-herder tensions, and cross-border clashes between the communities before they escalate. Participants from both counties reported that the training has improved their ability to support communities in resolving disputes and promoting peaceful coexistence. They also expressed commitment to passing their skills on to other community members, especially in rural areas where conflict risks higher conflict. United Nations Development Programme says its hopes is to train and enhance local peace structures and create a stronger grassroots leadership capabilities of sustaining long-term stability in Western Bahr-el-Ghazal, get smarter responses, uphold files, images, and more. This is iRadio News, and now in the stories making headlines in the African region and beyond. South African women's rights groups are calling for nationwide protests to demand that gender-based violence be declared a national disaster in a country where attacks on women have become commonplace. The campaign began with a viral social media movement and will culminate in a nationwide shutdown on Friday ahead of the G20 summit in Johannesburg. Celebrities, citizens, and nations have shown their solidarity by changing their profile on social media, pictures turning to purple, a color often linked to gender-based violence awareness. According to South African crime statistics, between January and March this year, 137 women were murdered and more than 1,000 raped. And finally, Volodymyr Zelensky is expected to speak to Donald Trump after the U.S. president presented Ukraine with a draft peace plan to end the war with Russia. The plan was reportedly drafted by U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and his Russian counterpart Kirill Dmitriev without Ukraine's involvement. In a statement, Zelensky's office said the U.S. believed the draft could also help reinvigorate diplomacy and added that Ukraine had agreed to work on the plan's provisions in a way that would bring about a just end to war in Ukraine. Kyiv supported all substantive proposals capable of bringing genuine peace closer, the statement had said. This is iRadio News, and now to end this bulletin, let's have the recaps on the top stories once again. Vice President and chairpersons of the infrastructure cluster Taban Dengai has urged road contractors to remain patient as the government reviews claims of outstanding arrears said to amount to 700 million United States dollars. The newly appointed Minister of Environment and Forestry Mabior Garang de Mabior has pledged to develop a comprehensive master plan to tackle deforestation, environmental degradations and pollutions in oil-producing areas as he officially assumes office. And South Africa's women's rights groups are calling for nationwide protests to demand that gender-based violence be declared a national disaster in a country where attacks on women have become commonplace. That's the end of iRadio Morning News. If there's a story or an event you'd like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also a WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio South Sudan. Follow our YouTube channel iRadio South Sudan, and also you can visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at the top of the hour. I am Darlington Moses. Thanks for listening.